trying to kill every beat, I know I will. Everything I'm working on, every night another song. They've been quiet all along, they gon' notice when I'm gone.
Too many thoughts on my mind, I can't sleep at night, so I just keep writing. I don't need no help, I don't need opinions, so don't waste my time then. Killing the game and I gotta go ask anybody, they all heard about it. They know when the kid and he's spitting it, know when he getting it, bit and I get in my way. Got this, I like do whatever I say, cause I could go put you on blast. People been mad at me cause I don't follow them back. I'm laughing cause that is so whack. Why they all trying to act like they been bossing when really their bosses been bossing them up? Nobody ever been telling me what I would do when I keepin' the cash for the shit out of luck. I want it more, now I get what I wish. Upgrading now with some pants that I whip. Making 6 figures, don't talk about it. Money ain't shit, it's about how you think. Tired of people who making excuses, then they complain about losing. Tell me about what you been doing, tell me about how you been moving. You ain't got nothing to prove then. I did it all on my own, they looking like all of my clones. I don't be following trends, fuck all the popular clothes. You faking and everyone knows, I just be keeping it real. They thinking that I have to go sign a deal, but really the people just found an appeal. I'm in my own lane and I'm steering the wheel, ayy.
It's funny how it goes, funny how it goes. Working every night till the sunrise.
We're back once again, joined by the first 2 XCW Hall of Fame inductees, the Fletch, myself, the franchise player Chris Jones, and how you feeling? It's been a ride. We're halfway through season 4. We don't know about season 5 yet, but
oh yeah, we do, or at least I do.
And
I know where season 5's headed.
I've never really got to do a tribute to Azrael, so even though I don't have a lot of questions specifically relating to him, I'm going to declare this episode the Azrael tribute. So at the beginning, I would like for you to put a little thing up for Azrael. As we had Brody Lee, a recent wrestler, WWE, pass away, and it made me think that I never had a chance to give Azrael a tribute. So that is what I would like.
And you and Azrael have a very unique past.
We do. And my first question is, what is your opinion about Azrael, the Demon Knight, as someone asked?
I don't think, like, your generation, obviously, not
Yes.
so much the newer guys. They didn't see. I don't even think that you guys got to see really the relationship that Azrael and I had beyond the actual show day.
Yes.
There was a little more to that, as you know. Him and I we were neighbors, so we got to spend a little more time outside of the ring. Advice, good or bad, mostly bad from Azrael. He always provided me with what he honestly thought was the best for me or for, any kind of situation. He was always helpful. He was always there for me and for Fago and, everybody who was in that era. And he had a bigger heart than I think a lot of people want to give him credit for. Because, of course, he always had this mean, bully exterior around the guys. But anybody who knew Curtis Azrael outside of that knows that he's actually just a big softie that puts on a front. So Azrael and I had a very good relationship outside of XCW. Of course, it kind of went away once he was out of XCW, and he tried his hand as being a manager and professional on the indies and stuff. And we kind of fell apart, in later years, but a lot of that was for the fact that we had a big age difference. He's quite a bit older than us, so the age difference. He was settling in for a relationship and children, and I was still a kid running the streets. So when he was a kid running the streets and he was just wrestling with us, we were just sitting our feet wet. So, but I really enjoy Azrael's company.
Completely agree. Like you said, I had the unique relationship of having dated his sister.
Yeah.
And Azrael was a good dude. We've seen him on the street. He would never shy away from coming to you to talk to you no matter what.
Absolutely.
So
he took that Azrael, the Demon Knight character, too hard.
Whatever happened to D-Mac?
That's a damn good question. I don't know. Honestly, we met D-Mac through one of my ex-girlfriends who was a part of the show in 2004, 2005 season. I had a pretty close relationship with that ex's mom. who just also recently passed away of cancer. I don't know if you know that about that. But she, a couple of years ago, she passed as well. But I had a pretty good relationship with her. She had a lot of issues, similar to some of the issues that your parents have. And ultimately, she got cancer and she passed. But I had a pretty good relationship with her, and she introduced me to D-Mac. And, she was like, like all those older parent types are like, oh, well, he's really into wrestling. And, there's the conversation that strikes up. And D-Mac was born and entered into XCW in mid to late 2004, and immediately took XCW by storm.
Yeah, he's good.
He was ahead of his time when it came to our skill, and promo, man, he was believable. People legit thought a lot of the things that he said in his promos were legit true, and he was playing a character just like us, and 2005 rolled around. He was in a television championship feud alongside Disciple, and for whatever reason, following Cold Day in Hell, I lost contact with him, and obviously things didn't go right with my relationship there, and he was never to be seen or heard from ever again.
I'm not saying.
And I've even talked to her since then, my ex. And she, too, has not seen or heard from him in years. So, I don't know.
Well, if you're out there, D-Mac, and for some crazy reason you're watching this, hit us up. I think this is more of a question for me. Someone asked the Graveyard promo. It was a pretty intense promo with Genocide by his dad. Someone asked me, because I've spoken about almost pissing on his dad's grave before, and someone asked me if I would really have done that. And it might paint me in a bad light, but to ultimately make me the top heel, I think if those old people didn't show up when we were shooting the promo, I ultimately think that I probably would have.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you do in this business sometimes. You have to really take a stab at things, and to see what sticks, sometimes it's overboard, and you have to kind of backtrack and kind of rebuttal a little bit, maybe apologize, and sometimes you just got to put your hand out there and do it. Look at this situation with myself and DJ Wolbert in early 2020. I went out on a limb. I said some things. I was trying to get a heel character over. I was trying to build something for him along the line. He took it a little more personal, and things went the way that they did. I don't know if there's regret on his part. There is on mine, in a sense.
Yes.
Because I didn't mean it personally. It was a character, and I think that's a lot of the same. And obviously, you didn't necessarily have Genocide's blessing for that.
I did,
but he did know all the details going into the promo.
So I probably would have, to be honest, and then ask for forgiveness later.
Sometimes you gotta do that. Just like just in regular life, if you're at a job and something really needs to get done, and maybe against a boss or something, do it now and ask for forgiveness later. It's better to ask for permission than forgiveness. Or vice versa.
Forgiveness than permission.
Yeah.
So if there's never until the end, do we still have Kevin Harris, James Gerke, and Carnage in XCW?
Well, James Gerke was in and out as it was, so I don't know how much longer James Gerke would have held up. As you know, he started way back when, 2015, 16, is when he really started to take off. But he debuted all the way back in 09, 10. And he missed seasons here and there, and a lot of it was the fact that he was active military, and so he missed some of the time there. But he was wishy-washy on at times as it was. I don't know if James Gerke would have held up. I don't think Carnage would have went anywhere had they never come in and kind of put a bug in his ear and gave him that opportunity to go do other things. I think Carnage was more than loyal. I don't think that he would have fallen too far from the tree in XW. James Gerke would have been gone more than likely. And Kevin Harris, I think a lot of his issues wasn't so much until the end, or issues with that. It was more of his outside life schedule. He was also part of active military at the time, and him living so far away, and he had moved to Virginia in 2017 after Reunion, when he was living here, or when he did Reunion, he moved right after that. So I think all things would have considered, we would have got more time out of Harris, but ultimately the same thing probably would have happened. His military life was kind of the driving force in his decisions.
My handwriting's pretty shitty on this next one, but I think I get the gist of what they're asking. Going into 2020, you wanted a big name for SummerMania.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, it didn't come to fruition, and I mean, you got a big name. It turned out to be me versus you.
Yeah.
And they asked, they said, you guys said some real shit in the promos.
Okay.
How does that affect personal relationship? Which, in my opinion, I don't think it affects us at all.
I think it depends on the person.
Yeah.
I think you kind of get a feel for how far you can go. I mean, if I was gonna do that kind of a storyline with a Corey Lee, I may not be able to go as far as I would if I was in a storyline like that with a Hazard.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think I think a lot of people know that know each other as long as we've been around. You know your limits and you know what you can and can't do. And for the other things, you ask permission. If you're feuding me, though, however, and you come to me and you really want to dig something out, just like you, I've seen you do the same. And I can recall a time when you and Genocide and Allison had a promo, and you would literally cut your own promo on yourself just to help Genocide out with his promo.
Exactly what to say.
I would do the exact same thing. If you need dirt, I'll dig dirt for you. Like, to me, it's for what's the best thing for the show, and
to tell that story.
Yeah. So, but I do think that it goes by the person. I don't think there was much that you and I were going to say that was going to change anything too much. We knew what the limits were, so.
And obviously, the good guy says certain things versus where a bad guy says.
Yeah, like you said, the positive things that you did for yourself, or for myself, and then I flipped it, and I would tell all the negative things that you did to me. So it was all about the things that were happening for me. Yeah. We didn't even get to the other side of the whole equation. It was all about me.
Yeah.
The positive things you did for me, also the negative things you did for me. We didn't even talk about the positive and negative things I've done for you. Yeah. And so I don't think people even really grasp that in the story. Yeah. I mean, and for the fact, I think we should get a little more credit, and myself and Tommy from the previous season, I don't think people really understand how influential those stories were told without having those matches, because Tommy and I only had one payoff match, and so did you and I.
I completely agree. We're going to do one more question before the break, and this is what I've wanted your opinion on for a long time. Someone asked, what is our opinions on the change from Extreme Championship Wrestling to Explosive Championship Wrestling?
Well, okay, so one of the reasons that I wanted to change is because just naturally, backyard wrestling gets painted in a bad light. Oftentimes, when people say backyard wrestling, they're just like a bunch of kids, untrained, that just beat each other with stuff and jump off roofs, and though we've done the roofs, we've done the weapons, we've done all those things. Yeah. We've also been trained. We wear professional gear in a professional ring, and I didn't want XCW to continue to be painted in that backyard wrestling light. I wanted to give it the feel for what it actually is. It's already going to have the negative impression for being backyard. Yeah. So the least that we could do is find a way to paint a new image. And we had really especially since we got the ring, kind of steered away from that extreme image, and we started putting on more of storylines, more, being able to tell a better story in the ring. Whereas when we first started, it was blood and guts, beat each other with shit. But as XCW grew, so did we, and we found a way that we could create those storylines. We found a way that we could tell those better stories. And with that, I felt like we had some really explosive storylines.
Yep.
And we had some really explosive ideas. And we have guys that can, like yourself and Harris, explosive moves in the ring. And so it was time. It was time to try to find a way to paint us in a negative light. And I think there, even for a short time in 2017, we were calling ourselves amateur pro.
Yeah.
Instead of independent pro or backyard, we like to refer to ourselves as amateur pro.
Yeah. I can say I agree on pretty much every aspect of that. Join us when we come back from our first commercial break.
On the next Showtime. Lori Lee, you're getting inducted into the Hall of Fame today. How do you feel about it?
How do I feel about it?
Mm-hmm.
Stop.
Fletch forgot I was even in the Hall of Fame. We had to look for it.
XCW Showtime, taking you behind the scenes of XCW's biggest events. And this time, we're taking a look at the 2021 Hall of Fame induction ceremony, featuring exclusive interviews from Corey Lee, Genocide, Tommy Merriman, and Cynical. Get the lowdown on the Hall of Fame ceremony. See it like you've never seen XCW before. Showtime, the 2021 Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Watch it soon here on XC Wrestling 1.
Alright, and we're back. Talked with Evan Phoenix last episode, No False Finish, about this, and I know we've spoke on this before. Maybe it was a Men of Honor or just something outside wrestling, but you often paint myself as the most arguable best backyard wrestler of all time. But in my opinion, you are in like my top 3 best favorite backyard wrestlers. Why do you paint everybody else so bright, but paint yourself so black and gloom?
I think I could put myself in a situation if it were looked at a little different. I feel like there are other guys in ring talent-wise, when they showcase being able to tell a story, like, no offense to you, but in a ring, nobody can tell a story better than Tommy Merriman. I mean, that's just how it is. Tommy can paint a picture with his expression in the ring. But, when it comes to in-ring, the Tommies, the Corey Lees, and the Chris Joneses of the world, no one's, in my opinion, has outshined yet. There's people that are scratching the surface. We got the Evans, the Bradys, the Brogans, the Venoms. They're scratching the surface. They're getting to where all of us, and people talk about it being a negative thing that we've had these guys, the Brendans, the Hazards, and all these guys that take their leave in 2020 as a negative. I don't. I take it as a positive.
Yeah.
I take it as a positive for the fact that we have a whole new crop of guys that had to step up to the plate, whether they were ready or not, to fill that void. And I feel like we had an amazing 2020 season. And that's without Hazard half that year. Gene Cerebrals, the Brandon Hobbs, the Chris Jones, and even the Fletch. They didn't get all of that. The main focus of the title picture this year was the 4 people in the Summermania. And then also Brogan included in the cash-in.
Yeah.
So you're looking right there at Hayden Vex, Venom, Evan Phoenix, Brady Branson. Those guys stepped up and took to the place. And now you even have a younger, up-and-coming, brand from even behind that. With the ACTs, and then we've got new guys that are training and coming up. So it's... and XW could go forever as long as that continues.
Yeah.
Out with the old, in with the new. I do feel like I wish there was somebody other than Genocide myself one more guy to really be the flag bearer. I mean, we do have Corey Lee, but I still feel like Corey Lee's still in his prime. He started still way after us.
Yes.
But I wish there was still one more guy, like a U or a Cynical or a Hazard here to be a flag bearer to do those jobs. And to be that inspiration. They don't even necessarily have to be as much in-ring talent, maybe the occasional match, but be able to be in the locker room to help guide those people to what's next. I wish I had more of that, because unfortunately the Brendans and the Hazards and the Chris Joneses of the world, when they left, they left.
Yeah.
And I had the opportunity to put them in another role, where they're an on-screen role or they're, behind-the-scenes role. If they could be here throughout the shows to get us to where we need to be with those other people. Yeah, Genocide, he just isn't much of a leader, no offense to him. He's better in other roles. He's better when it comes to, being able to help call finishes in the match, and to give advice to the younger guys, but not the type of advice that the guys need, and not really the leadership role of this is what needs to be done, and they know that. Genocide is the perfect definition of pushover. No offense to him, but if he sees something that's not getting done, he's not going to be the type that's going to step up and say, we need to get this done. And I need somebody to back me up on that. And I don't have that right now.
How did XCW benefit from the Tribe brands, if at all, and your relationship with those companies?
I think we even talked about this a little bit in the Men of Honors that you will soon see right here on the channel. We talked about we talked about the Tribe brand and Ground Zeroes, and to be completely honest, we feel like XAWA, and Blackheart himself said it, he feels like XAWA benefited the most from the Tribe brands until their untimely close. But I think they had the most to gain, maybe, from it. We may ended up in a situation where we had the most to gain long term for the fact that we gained a lot of awesome roster members from that. And obviously that wasn't even the plan to begin with. The plan was just to kind of expand viewership across, 3 company wide. It turned into something completely different than what it was supposed to be. But I feel like the other 2 companies have more to gain from this opportunity than XCW did, but ultimately it ended up on the other side. XCW had the most to gain from it.
Opinion on religion, or what are our beliefs?
This one's pretty simple. Believe what you want, but don't try to push it off on the other stars. You can have your own religions, your own beliefs, but that's your religion, your belief, and I don't believe in people trying to pawn it off on others.
Yeah. I've been friends for years. I've been to the youth groups. I've been to the churches. I'm Presbyterian, which is a branch of Christianity. I've went to Mississippi to help with Hurricane Katrina. I've played fucking Joseph in the Christmas Play 2 years ago. I had 2 different hot wives, but I played Joseph in the Christmas Play nonetheless. I was a head waiter for Magical Dinner, which is where they have a big play performance of like 200 or 300 people, and I was a waiter for that. I've done several things for my church. I also went through a confirmation class the morning before an XCW show, and then after I graduated from my confirmation class and had my baptism and celebration, all that stuff, I literally went from church to XCW, and if you watch that show, LOL's actually wearing a flower in his mask, and it was the flower that was on my dress shirt for that day, so completely agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a household that was split. Neither one, or my dad's side never did practice any kind of religion, but my grandmother, his father, was Christian.
Yeah.
My mom's side of the family, however, they're from Poland, and they are very strong, and they practice. My great grandma was very strong Catholic.
Yeah.
My mom even attended a Catholic school. My mom even met the Pope when she was a baby, which is unreal until I seen the pictures just recently. But, so, I mean, I've had to, in honor of my grandma, I've had to practice some Catholic religions.
Yeah.
But if I had to choose, I think I would go with my dad's side of the family and their beliefs. But growing up, I never was forced to practice any religion, and I, to this day, still don't. So.
And ultimately, I've never pushed myself off an ego either. Originally, they had asked who the best stand-up from 2020 is, but I think there's more than one, so I'm going to say top 3 best stand-ups for us 2020. I'm going to go first because I already know. I'm going to say Brogan O'Shea, Brady Branson, and ACT. No particular order.
That's tough for me because I'm going to look at it in a different light. I think ACT and Hayden Vex are there, but they're kind of, like I said a little bit ago, still scratching the surface. They're still really getting their feet wet. So if I had to pick the 3 standouts, the 3 stars of 2020, it's Brogan, Brady, Evan.
Yeah. And if we would go extra slots, obviously I'd pick Evan, but also I was a fan of what Blackheart did this season.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not going to discount anything that Blackheart and Deacon has done.
And
they're definitely in that realm of, and I know that Hayden, Blackheart, and Deacon have a long history. They've been wrestling longer. Hell, they're older than us.
Yeah.
But to the XCW crowd, they're up-and-comers alongside ACT, who, like I said, are just now scratching the XCW surface.
And another big thing is ACT and also stepping up outside XCW with Nerve Destruction being Venom's co-host. Brandon Stickle obviously left the show. Left Venom kind of high and dry there. No.
That's a big thing about like Brogan and ACT, who when it comes to filming, they've both kind of stepped up to the plate and really helped us in these Men of Honor shoots and these free time shoots and stuff. They really go the extra mile to make sure that when we're needed, when we need someone, they're here. And that goes a long way too. Yeah. And then we recently bought the brand new ring that was in our training facility. And Evan and ACT were the ones to really step up and help us out with that. It ended up being a miserable night. Very memorable, but it was miserable. There's no way that myself and Colton Kravitz, a name that no one's heard for a while, but there's no way that myself and just Colton would have made it through that night.
And then, like, you have other people like, look at it like this. If you picture you going into a match with Venom, who's going to lead the match?
Me.
Alright. You picture Venom going to a match with Evan Phoenix, Hayden Vex, and Brady Branson, who's going to lead the match?
Venom.
And he did just that at SummerMania, which I was very proud of him for being able to do that. Showing that he has the ability to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But
if not Venom, then it would have been Brady, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I know that I think Brady called a lot of Brogan called a lot of shots with Brady, which really was surprising to me. That's something that I think a lot of the younger guys really need to work on coming up, is learning to be able to have enough knowledge to control what's going to happen in that match.
And eventually, one day, they get to the point to where they don't talk at all, like we do. You just know the setup. Like when we did the cannonball spot at SummerMania, like you never called for a cannonball. Just chops. You hit me in the corner, bam, I bumped. I knew you were gonna do a cannonball. It just gets to that at some point.
Yeah, you learn people's body language as you go.
So I spoke with it several times. I recently spoke with Evan, got his opinion. Justin Parsley and JJ on the Hall of Fame 2020 ballot.
Absolutely.
2021 ballot, excuse me.
We just started a new wing as of Viewers' Choice 2020 that sees referees, announcers, more of the unspoken heroes of XCW have the opportunity to do so. We focused more on the women of XCW or the masked men of XCW, and now we're branching out that wing to give the opportunity to guys like to Levi and Logan and Aaron and Douglas and then in the same token, the announcers will account for that too. JJ's and Gabe's and James Keen's of the world, which I believe Gabe and James Keen are already in. But yeah, I'm just trying to. I am looking to branch out of that. As for Justin is on the fence. XW I don't think would have existed necessarily without him, for the fact that he was kind of the driving force of me being pissed off to leave and create my own. But I wish that he would have branched out and been able to be more open of working something out to be at least on-screen character once. Just once. Other than being on No False Finish, which you can check out right now. Season 2, Episode 1.
Best stable all time. In XCW specifically.
People are gonna... Oh, that's tough, because of course we have the VK2s and VK3s. I think it would have been royalty if we got to do all the things that we wanted to do. And I'm going to disqualify EBW from this because it was a little different. It wasn't necessarily a faction. We tried to give it a different light.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'm going to say the Untouchables.
That was going to be what I was going to say. And I don't think it paints a bad light. Why do you think the Untouchables over something like a VK2 or a Vengeance or something?
The unique thing about the Untouchables and why I feel so strongly about them is because, different than like a VK2 where myself, Cynical, and D2 were already on top of our game. VK3 was myself, Hazard, Genocide, Vapor. We're already all on top of our game.
Yeah.
Even with like Vengeance, it's myself and Tommy. We're already on top of our game. The Untouchables offered a unique opportunity to have that one guy in Chris Jones, and he had some other guys who are still up and coming. The James Cerebrals, Carnage, Nathan Van Diver, Crisis. These undercard guys now have the opportunity to be under the learning tree of Chris and then later Corey Lee to become bigger stars. And all of them, minus Nathan Van Diver, came out of the Untouchables more successful for being there.
And with that, we're going to go to our second commercial break, and when we come back, all the way to the end.
It's the last time that I ask why. I'm overlooked and I'm passed by. You can't grasp my shit, that's fine. Can't see the truth through glass eyes. You're half blind. In fact, I'm on my way to the back nine. I'm coming out swinging the man on a mission and breaking new ground like a landmine. Can't stop my ambitions, can't stop my commitment. My very existence is winning the game. Every minute I'm giving, I'm thinking of living the different. You live it the same, a vivid display. What are you thinking? I'm building the vision, you're thinking the grave. I'm in a position to have an opinion. Don't need your permission to give it away. Give it a rest, this is the end. You cannot prevent what you're fighting against. We live in the shit, we didn't pretend. We're the percentage you'll never forget. Look at the math, look at what's left. You can't represent what you couldn't accept. Since the beginning I knew you were ignorant. That is the difference you can't understand. What would you do with nothing to lose? Nothing to live for but something to prove. You
All the men are down. Here's the pin. 1, 2. What? The ref just flipped off Hazard. Oh! Hazard super kicked. The ref's been in on this.
Big boy! You like that?
Oh, it is in his pocket.
Full of surprises.
Oh! Hobbs is knocked down. Christ is trying to come out and save him. What's he doing? Oh, on the cookie sheet. That's an evil cookie sheet, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, I really appreciate you being here for all of
Go
us.
back from that, and I kind of know what's going to be. Kind of know what's there. So it's been spoken a millennia before. You know, the ACTs and the Venoms, the Evan Phoenixes. There was the Chris Joneses and the Fletches and the Cynicals and the Genocides and Dylan Bosticks training in New Era Wrestling. Why didn't I'm assuming we'll have different opinions on this, but specifically for you and myself, why didn't the independent wrestling training work when we were in high school?
Well, first of all, we're super immature.
I agree.
So I kind of felt like I had a leg up because my uncle was already there, already had some ownership and some stake in that company.
Yep.
And so there was that. Another issue I personally had that disqualified me is when I got sick in 2007. And I was already a part of that company at that time.
Yeah.
And then I got sick and shit rolls downhill. So, things kind of went for the worst in that situation. So, I did end up coming back. I did end up working, but it never did feel the same after I missed a big chunk of time for being sick. It's just totally out of my control.
Yeah.
But that's kind of it's the way the cookie crumbles in wrestling, and I had to learn that. And that's what I meant by our immaturity is, even though I was sick, there probably could have been more that I would have done to keep them happy, but I didn't, and so those things went south. I just don't think that we were quite ready for the commitment that they needed and that was asked for.
Yeah.
Whereas, obviously being older, we are more committed. Obviously, XW has grown and become something bigger for the fact that we are more committed. And we weren't as committed to anything back then. So, shit changed by the day.
Essentially kind of the same thing. Extremely immature. But also some of the athletics I was kind of trying to participate in school at the time took a lot, and a lot of school athletics are on the weekends. Wrestling shows are on the weekends. I skipped my junior and senior prom to be a part of NEW and wrestling shows.
And also when you're younger like that, you're just kind of nipping your first job and the first time you got laid. There's so many different things going on, and there's just like so many different moving parts. And then they want you to try to commit to every single weekend. It's just like, hey, I would rather hang out with my buddies in the parking lots, get my dick sucked, and eat tacos. That's what we did. So, and
it was like that for a while. Every weekend, every other weekend, doing the training, got to work. I've had a few independent matches myself. I got to work with some people. You've also got to work with some of the same people, as in Dave and Jake Chris and
I've
Tina
worked with Eugene
on the TNA roster.
and Tolan and
trained a little bit with Diamond Dan, but ultimately we made the decision that we were kids and we wanted to have fun.
It's funny that I worked with so many people as a referee. I worked with the Jerry Lawlers and the Danny Bashams and all these bigger names and stuff. But I had the most fun when I was a commentator and all-star calling a match between Dylan Bostic and Rob Conway. I don't know why. I've worked with some bigger names.
Yeah.
I mean, I've even had some backstage stuff with like Flash Flanagan and like Jillian Hall. Like Jillian was a contracted WWE wrestler at the time, and like I've worked with a lot of these guys, but I don't know. I had a lot of fun calling Rob Conway and Dylan Bostic from All Star. It was awesome.
How do you get returns such as a Chris Jones, a Kevin Harris, a Stevie Goebel, a Tyler Skaggs, an Austin Chaos, etc., etc.
No, I think when the scenario and the times are right, in due time, I think if the scenario is right, then people are going to more than likely do it. It's tougher for some, but
sometimes you cash in those favors friends owe you.
yeah, pretty much how this whole show's been made. But yeah, it's tough to pinpoint or say. It varies from person to person, situation to situation.
I can agree. What, in your opinions, are the worst XCW injury and weapon shot? Injury, I would have to go either your head or my face.
Injury would have to be your face or Will Smith.
Forgot about Will Smith.
Weapon shots. You know, for some reason, I know that nothing really bad come out of it, but one thing for some reason that always stands out in my mind when I think about weapon shots was the time that Zero hit Disciple with that chair in 2005. Unfucking believable.
Because it was back-to-back chair shots, because I hit him first, and then Zero came running and hit him the second.
Yeah, and that was bad.
If you ever watched Jeff Hardy hit Brock Lesnar with the chair, that's kind of what it was. Go check it out on YouTube.
And it echoed so loud.
Oh! Ha ha. Ha ha.
Best announcer / in-ring announcer in your opinion? Either or.
So, this is going to sound like an asshole move. Best ring announcer?
It's announcer / ring announcer.
Well, I'll give you both.
Okay.
Best ring announcer is me.
In-ring announcer?
Yeah.
I don't remember you ever ring announcing.
I ring announce behind the scenes until we had a ring announcer in 2017.
Oh.
I never stood in the ring and actually announced those people to the ring, but I did the ring announcing introductions, and I feel like, no offense to JJ or Trendy Parker, I had a niche for it, and I feel like out of the three, mine was the best. As for commentators at the table, bar none, it's a toss-up between JJ and Gabe.
I can totally agree. How has having Blackheart's editing took the stress and the mental anguish off of you since him being introduced to XCW?
I don't know if people realize it, but yeah, he does do a lot of editing, and I don't take anything away from his skill. He is absolutely amazing in his editing. But a lot of the sub-shows that you see, a lot of the fives and no falses and all that are still me. And the video packages, the intros to each show, those are all still me, and they're being sent to him for final editing. So, in a way, I've had very little stress taken off my plate. I think the biggest stress I've had taken off of my plate in terms of editing would have been SummerMania and Viewer's Choice. Other than that, it's been pretty much the same across the board.
Yeah.
I just think that as the company grows, the jobs get bigger versus... So it's not really taking much off my plate. It's just everything just grows and intensifies, and I'm still stuck in the middle of that.
Yeah.
So as it grows, it just becomes two people editing instead of one.
We know XAWA caught a lot of backlash, which essentially would ultimately lead to their untimely closing with the love scene between Mint Dragon and Blackheart. Why did XCW not get the same type of backlash when it was implied that Hazard raped Void's mom?
I think that we have more of an understanding roster. I feel like our roster, bad to say, but isn't as prude. I think that a lot of XAWA's issue is that some of the other people, there's too many cooks in the kitchen and being creative, and here, as bad as it is for me most of the time, it all comes down to me in the end. And there, you have Blackheart, you have Cyrus Mason, and you have Katana, and all these different elements of people who have a say in what happens in the shows. And when they have a difference of opinion and one person doesn't like it versus the other, it creates too much of an issue. And I do have my writers group, but ultimately what ends up happening, it's my say.
And more like you're the president, they're the cabinet members.
Right. So I just think that there's a better understanding within our core group that controversy is good. And being able to tell a better story overall, rules. Obviously I'm not going to make anybody do anything that I wouldn't do necessarily.
Yeah.
So, more than likely, if they're being put into a position, storyline-wise, I've probably already been there.
Yep.
So, I just think that we have a very understanding group, and they want to be able to tell the best story possible. Right. And that maybe not have been the same case there.
What gets Chris Jones or Hazard to come back?
Money. No. At this point in the game, I don't think Hazard's body can just hold up. Obviously, his size is the biggest factor in that. I think, guys like you and even I, who are smaller stature, who may not have as many underlying health problems. I guess I shouldn't count myself in that, but I've just been diagnosed with a disease literally a week ago. But I think like you, with your size and stature, you could easily bounce back from those injuries versus Hazard, who is 450, 500 pounds, who may not be able to come back from those injuries as easy.
Yeah.
You gotta admit, a guy his size walking around doing the things he's done, as long as we've done this,
yep.
It's gonna be a lot harder on his knees and his ankles versus it would be on mine or yours.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we'll ever see Hazard in an in-ring capacity again. I wish he would have given me the opportunity to maybe do something else, like I mentioned earlier.
Yep.
More of an ambassador or like a mentor role. But
or even still participate in training.
Yeah. But right now he's taking a lot of time to build a family. He's kind of a late bloomer on that. You and I already kind of have a family established and children and so on. So he is just now really starting up a young family, and some people handle that different. Like we got guys like Patrick O'Reilly and Venom who have young kids who can still find a way to make those happen, and then there's guys like Hazard that chooses not to.
Yeah. Chris
Jones, I don't know. If the situation is right, just as SummerMania.
Ultimate X.
Oh God.
Yeah. Make it happen. If you want Chris Jones back to build it, I will come. I will come.
It's like Field of Dreams in here.
Yep. That's what I was going to maybe deathmatch, who knows. In our opinions, what do we think are the three biggest XCW shows?
Ever?
Like, not like overall best shows, like SummerMania, Halloween Havoc, Extreme King, like the show. Like, SummerMania is obviously the biggest show of the year.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think would be like the second and the third in your opinion? My opinion's different.
Well, Halloween Havoc was always number 2. Unfortunately, with the big bad Titan Tower bringing theirs back, we will no longer be having our second biggest event of the year. We'll be replacing it with Sin.
You heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. Replacing it with Sin 2021.
So obviously, I'm hoping that Sin can fill that role of, taking that place. But looking at our current roster our current lineup for this year, I would say SummerMania being 1, Greed's probably 2, and Extreme King I'll say Extreme King's 2 and Greed's 3.
And we're almost completely equal. I didn't expect you to mention Greed. I might be partially biased about Greed. SummerMania number 1 for me, Greed number 2, Extreme King number 3.
Greed's just a very big SummerMania build.
And I would think that if the Extreme King winner wasn't going to SummerMania now to compete for the world title, I think if it was still going to Greed to compete, I think that would kind of elevate Greed.
And the bad part about us saying that is that they're literally June, July, and August, but that's really the peak point of our season. So.
Yeah. Obviously, you probably will say yes to this, but do you think Evan needs a bodyguard?
Yes.
All right. If someone
I don't think that his character has been built and has had as much of a leg to stand on since he's had Jaden as he ever has. I mean, Brady was not that for him.
If someone wanted XCW to be involved in their wedding, is that possible, or any other type of special events?
Absolutely, call me. I have a traveling ring now, so.
You heard it from him, ladies and gentlemen.
You hear that, Evan?
One person you can have back in XCW, you can have him. Who is it? Out of anybody all time. Cynical?
Yeah.
And last question. What if an independent wrestler wanted to partake in the XCW festivities and have a match?
I've been open to that. I recently talked to a guy from Ohio Valley Wrestling just about a year ago to participate. He was supposed to be wrestling Venom, actually, in Enemy Lines. For whatever reason, the things didn't line up. They didn't work out. If they were truly serious about it without the, coming in with the big head or
trying to recruit people.
Yeah, then I'm definitely open into them just being able to find a way to get more ring time.
All right, you heard it from the man. Anybody out there want to come, just let us know. I think that was a pretty good Q&A episode, to be honest. I think that was better than the first one. That's all for Season 4, Episode... What is it, 7? 6? Episode 7, I believe. 6. Episode 6. We've been doing this for years. I feel like no Foss is as old as XCW. But join us next time. We have another special guest.
Too many thoughts in my mind, I can't sleep at night, so I just keep writing. I don't need no help, I don't need opinions, so don't waste my time then. Killing the game and I gotta go ask anybody, they all heard about it. They know when the kid and he's spitting it, know when he get in it, bit and I get in my way. Got this, I like do whatever I say, cause I could go put you on blast. People been mad at me cause I don't follow them back. I'm laughing cause that is so whack. Why they all trying to act like they been bossing when really their bosses been bossing them up? Nobody ever been telling me what I would do when I keep in the cash, right the shit out of luck. Ayy. It's funny how it goes, funny how it goes. Talking about shit they don't even know. Why they tryna tell me about what I should do? They don't know about the shit I've been through. It ain't what it seems, it ain't what it seems. Been 4 years, I've been chasing dreams. This ain't overnight, this ain't overnight. Working every night till the sunrise.